Good morning. Welcome to Walking Slowly Downhill, an account of a walk I undertook in 2015 along the Murray River from source to mouth with permission from the elders of the nations that have lived along the banks of the Murray since time immemorial. Walking slowly downhill is a bundling together of all the accounts of each of the days of the walk. The accounts were written in the afternoon, right after the end of the walk, and they chronicle really a whole series of random considerations and thoughts, half conclusions, contemplations that I experienced during the time of the walk. This is the 64th day, an account of the 64th day. Burdett Road to Murray Bridge. My walk encompasses many hills today, and my legs battle to climb them. Judging by the sandy soil covering the roadside tracks, the hills are probably ancient sand dunes extending south all the way to the sea. Earlier, as we sat in the van waiting for the ferry so Steve could drive me to the starting point of today's walk, I noticed the marker at the side of the terminal identifying the levels of previous Murray River floods. The 1956 flood reached 5 metres above the terminal's ground level. It would have extended way over the caravan park we're staying in, reaching almost halfway up the sandy cliff overlooking Manham. It's difficult to imagine such volumes of water now sweeping down the river's path, radically transforming the landscape. But it happened, and it happened often. It must have rained much more, or at least the winter snows must have been far heavier over the mountain country where the river is birthed. A different world has since been shaped, evolving steadily into the fullness of its maturity within a single lifetime. The devastating 1956 flood took place in August, the month my family and I arrived in Melbourne. I knew nothing of this, of course, and as we walked astonished around the streets of Fitzroy, our own world was being concurrently reshaped, forged almost in the furnace of my family's collective life. Next August, 60 years will have passed since the day both the Toscana berthed at Station Pier and the floodwaters of the Murray submerged this valley. I consider all of it this evening as I watch a television program documenting the Manhattan Project, my mind switching from Robert Oppenheimer's driven efforts to build the most destructive weapon the world has ever known to the devastating effect of the Murray floods, then to my own life since I disembarked the Toscana that August morning. As I do this, I continually need to stretch my legs under the caravan's tiny table. My muscles and sinews still feel the battling I endured earlier today. My legs feel as though I spent the morning walking under deep water, heavy, turbid, battling currents, avoiding the flotsam and jetsam of a flood, carrying its detritus all the way down to me from somewhere far away. The program ends and I walk out into the night to the river's edge. I look out and over to the other bank. Lights twinkle. All is quiet. "65th day, Murray Bridge to White Sands." I crossed the river on the first bridge ever to be built over it, the original Murray Bridge, completed in 1959. It's a squat and solid iron structure with separated footpaths on both sides. The first half of the bridge spans green-tinged floodplains, and the second half soars over the river itself, flowing below me fast and clean. Then I walk through the town centre, past neat houses with trimmed lawns and gardens. Then inevitably the surface of the drives leading to the house's garage slowly changes from concrete to dirt. The front yards become more littered, the curtains behind the windows shabbier, and the car that's sheltering under cover or steaming under the full force of the sun is older, with dented, faded body panels. There are no vehicles parked in the drives of the more prosperous-looking houses because the owners are at work. Not so as I walk through the town's edges. Cars crowd the gravel driveways, all parked hurriedly, almost haphazardly. The gardens are bone dry, weeds line the edges of the gravel, and unrecognisably shriveled plants wilt in broken pots under a burning morning sun. No sign of life escapes from these houses, and I imagine its occupiers are asleep inside darkened rooms. I hurry past Murray Bridge's urban periphery and into its industrial outer core. Numerous factories are still closed, and no sounds escape from the ones whose doors are open to the morning. It takes almost 10 kilometres to finally peel the layers away from the town's living structure, from how will and fate and generational reach imprison each of us inside a journey whose departure and destination points we may never even recognise. At last, I reach open country and begin to imagine the Southern Ocean's surf breaking over the sand at Goolwa. I kept imagining the surf breaking over the sand at Goolwa right through my journey. Intriguing how an image of one's destination points can drive you along that journey with more and more vigour. At times all I could think of was the ocean breaking over the sand of Goolwa. It's a confused morning here in Mildura. It's been raining and it will rain again. Kind of calm over everything that rain seems to bring to a desert climate. Until tomorrow for more accounts.